Hey friends, Peggy Hall back streaming with you live from the healthyamerican.org. So many of you have been asking for my lawsuit update, and that's exactly what I'm going to give you today. I am going to give you a detailed summary. We are going to look at some of the players that are in this production, I'll just put it this way. And, before I get underway, let me know where you are tuning in from. Let me know if you have ever had any legal action against the government. I'm going to tell you exactly what's been going on. And it's so funny because before I started to stream this video, do you ever have that where a song is going through your head and you can't get it out of your head? I had that. I don't even know the lyrics to it, but it goes da 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 da. Da, 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 da. You know that one? Da, 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 da. That started going through my head as of yesterday, and I can't get it out of my head. I also want to share with you this amazing, well, you are all amazing because you've been sending me cards and letters over the last 3 years. And this is just one bin of dozens and dozens and dozens of bins that I have. This entire armoire is filled with letters from you, your letters of success, your letters of thanks for the work that I've done to help you stand up for your rights and to fight against oppression and tyranny. So friends, with that introduction, I want to tell you that I come before you today and I stand in victory. I've been telling you that victory is ours, that we battle with a vanquished foe, that we can stand in confidence because truth is on our side. And that is the good news that I bring to you today. I don't need a court ruling or a judge to tell me that my reading of the law is correct, because as I'm about to share with you, you'll see that the law is very clear. And as I reveal how I've been suing the, I did use that phrase, public serpents. And I will say that it didn't sit well when I was being deposed by the opposing counsel. And they were wondering exactly why I came up with that word. And I explained that there are public servants who serve us, we the people, on the side of truth. And then the serpents, as described in the Bible, are those that engage in deception. So we are going to be seeing this evening, I'm going to unfold for you truth and deception, and you'll be able to draw a conclusion in terms of where things stand. So I predicted that what happened yesterday would happen. And I, as I say, come before you standing in victory, and I'm going to explain exactly what happened and what's going to happen next. I'm also going to share with you the players in this production, and then I would love for you to join me in praying for them, because that is actually the best way to get the results that we are after. All right, let me do this. I am going to bring up my summary. Let me just share my screen here. Great to see you all on board. And here we go. All right. I want to explain exactly what I've been doing against the Orange County Board of Supervisors. This will be a brief summary, and then I'll tell you exactly what happened. And I don't think you'll be surprised either. I think you probably predicted it as well. What I have done is engaged in a petition for a writ of mandate, also called a writ of mandamus. And I love this on so many levels because, number one, as you know, I have never used the word mandate to describe the unlawful, illegal, egregious, illogical, ridiculous, absurd measures that were sloshed all over us in this hogwash. No Trader Joe's clerk can mandate you to suffocate yourself. Your HR department cannot mandate you to participate in a medical experiment. No one, including the president, including the governor, including your health officer or board of supervisors, has any authority to mandate anything. And I've seen over the years, many people have joined me in educating others about this and to stop saying mandate. So the true definition of the word in the legal terms is that an order of the court. So a court can mandate. A court can compel a government agency. It can even compel an individual in terms of any type of order of the court, in terms of ordering someone to give up their license or ordering someone to go to rehab, ordering someone to jail. That's not a writ of mandate, but a writ of mandate is an order of a court to compel a government agency or a public official to do something or to stop doing something in accordance with the law. There is no discretionary interpretation needed by the judge. When the law requires or prohibits an action, the law must be followed. There are no exceptions. So let's take a look. This is the action that I brought against the Board of Supervisors. Many of you asked for just a brief summation, so I have it all written for you. This will be in an upcoming Substack. I've done other Substacks, and I will have a link for you below in the description box if you would like to get your free subscription. This will be an updated article for you as well. So here's the facts of the case. The California Health and Safety Code 101080 states that a local county health officer can proclaim a local health emergency for up to 7 days in the event of a toxic spill, hazardous waste, or at the beginning of an outbreak of an infectious disease. This happened in Orange County. Going on exactly 3 years ago, at the end of February, a local health emergency was proclaimed in the county of Orange, my county. And after 7 days, that health officer has to go before the board and has to bring all of the evidence and information and data so that the board can either ratify, right, approve the emergency or terminate it. Now, 7 days may seem reasonable. For example, if there is a chemical spill or there's a fire that breaks out and it's very hazardous, or there's a spill in the ocean and they need to close the beaches for 7 days. It seems to me, I did not write the laws, but the law on the book says that the health officer has 7 days to get things in order in an emergency, and then it has to be ratified by the public body, the governing body. No one individual has the right to issue an order that is outside of the law. So that is what the statute in California, that's what exists for the local health officer to call this public health emergency. So after 7 days, the Orange County Board of Supervisors ratified it. They said, yes, we agree. There is enough information here telling us that there is such a great peril to the risk of life and property in Orange County. And the law goes on to say that it cannot be handled by the county alone, that the resources and the personnel and the services and the material and the equipment is insufficient to the degree that there has to be a mutual aid agreement that is triggered so that we have people coming from other counties to help out in Orange County. That is what the law says. So when you think back a couple of years ago, probably in your state as well, there may have been something similar. That's why they said, oh, there's not enough equipment. There's not enough ventilators. There's not enough suffocation devices or gloves or gowns or hospital beds. Oh, we need to bring in nurses from Arkansas and New York. That was a way to demonstrate the magnitude of the emergency in order to follow the law, or in order to meet the criteria of the law. I was the first person, to my knowledge, that actually came out with a video in 2020 showing that in the state of California, the conditions for the emergency did not exist, and that therefore the emergency at that time was null, void, and invalid. And I got to be careful here on this channel still, because YouTube took that video down. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but let's just say it got millions of views. It went viral, and it pretty much launched the work here that I do at the Healthy American. With my background in politics and law and research and teaching, I was able to bring that information to a large number of people. As you can see, they thanked me for the information. This is like one, sliver of the thanks and letters that I've gotten from people. And that is something that the impact that I had helping people understand the law, their rights, and how to fight back. So all of this is going on in Orange County. And let's go back to the law, shall we? Because I found something else out, and I started to go to the board meetings, and here we go. At least every 30 days after the Board of Supervisors ratifies the local health emergency, the board must continue to receive updates and information to either extend the emergency or to terminate the emergency. Get this, friends, at the earliest possible date that conditions warrant the termination. This is the language of the law, and here's the law right here. Health and Safety Code 101080. Whenever there is an imminent and proximate threat of the introduction, excuse me, we're 3 years into this. It's not an introduction any longer. How can there be an emergency 3 years later? An emergency is immediate. You weren't prepared for it. We are in the mitigation, the recovery stages, if there even ever was one. We're not in the throes of an emergency. A fourth grader could tell you that, but apparently these, performers in this production don't have a clue. And that's where I come in. I'm trying to give them a clue. So here we go. I just want to summarize it for you. The local health emergency shall not remain in effect for a period in excess of 7 days unless it has been ratified by the Board of Supervisors, the City Council, whichever is applicable to the jurisdiction. In my county, it's the Board of Supervisors. Here we go. They shall review at least every 30 days. Wouldn't you think in a true emergency, they would review the conditions daily, at least weekly? They were not even doing it every 30 days. I had to bring it to their attention. And then the board shall determine the need for continuing the local health emergency within the county. Has nothing to do with the state of California. What's going on in San Francisco or Fresno has nothing whatsoever to do in Orange County. That's why the local counties have the authority. And they are required to terminate the local health emergency at the earliest possible date that the conditions warrant the termination. Not when the money runs out, not when the governor tells them to, not when they feel like it. This is the law. But the board was not reviewing the conditions publicly. It's also required by the Brown Act, which means all public business must be conducted in public. They can't have these secretive meetings and do the backdoor deals. It's rather laughable, I know, because you know and I know that probably goes on, but there is a law that prohibits it. So I informed the county attorney way back in 2020 that I did not see the review of these conditions on the agenda. And then after I made these phone calls and talked to the county attorney, he told the board that they had to review these in public. All right, that's number 5. Number 6, thousands of people started showing up at these meetings over the next year. And little typo there, voicing their strong opposition to the emergency and all of the unnecessary shutdown measures harming businesses, jobs, schools, medical settings, and we the people. At one particularly jam-packed board meeting on June 22nd, happens to be my mom's birthday, may she rest in peace, June 22nd, 2021, then chairman of the board, Andrew Doe, visibly exasperated, looked around at the other board members and said, if we end the emergency, we won't get any more COVID money. We're not going to end the emergency until the governor tells us to, and we're not going to discuss this at all at any further meeting. Then he took a vote and all the board members agreed to not discuss the emergency any further. The agenda item for receiving updates from the health officer in order to determine whether or not there were conditions that warrant the emergency, it was never put back on the agenda. And this is a clear and blatant violation of California Health and Safety Code 101080 and others. This is why I brought the writ of mandate against the county. I wanted a judge to compel the board to put the agenda item back on the meeting schedule as required by law. How do they know if there's an emergency if they don't get updates from the health officer? Friends, I know you probably are shaking your head saying, Peggy, there's got to be more to this than that. It's so simple that my, 8-year-old nephew knows how to take care of this. And you are absolutely right. So let me continue with the summary here, shall we? And we'll go on. So I gave the board notice. Right. That happened in June of 2021. Yes, I gave the board notice in July of 2021 that I was going to pursue legal action against them if they did not follow their statutory duties, meaning that's the law that was created in our legislative branch of government in California for the conduct during an emergency. Here's the law to follow during an emergency. And their response was, we don't have to follow it because it's an emergency. I'm sorry. That song keeps going through my head. Okay, here we go. When I put the board on notice, they gave no response. I insisted that they write to me back within a certain period of time to let me know why they were not following the law. Never heard from them. So I filed a lawsuit with Nicole Pearson and her legal team, and that was filed on September 14th, 2021. So let me just give you a little bit of the timeline. All right. Again, it was filed in September 2021. The key points in this petition, remember, I'm not a plaintiff, I'm a petitioner. I'm not asking for any money. I'm not asking for any damages. It's almost like you are getting a restraining order against someone, and it should be signed and sealed and delivered like this could have been handled within 24 hours. The law is clear. The Judge Richard Lee was the one that was assigned to the case, and I'm going to show you these individuals at the end of the video, so stay tuned. The key points of my petition included that the board and Orange County, that they have exceeded their authority and abused their discretion as a local governing authority with quasi-legislative powers by improperly abdicating and delegating these powers and duties to the governor, because the board said, we are not going to do anything until the governor tells us what to do. Friends, this is the crux of the matter. We do not have a political system where the governor tells you what to do. The governor is not in the legislative branch of government. The governor is in the executive branch. He creates a budget, he spends the money, he directs people in his executive branch of government, such as at the DMV and the Department of, this and that. Probably a lot of those things not really important or necessary in the governing of our state anyway, but he doesn't have authority to create a law or to tell a legislative body what to do. He could suggest, he could work with key people on drafting legislation, but he does not make law. So for the dodo birds that were on this council in Orange County, they had the harebrained idea of, well, we don't have to vote on it. We'll just let the governor tell us what to do. And then they went on to say, because if we cancel the emergency, we won't get any more funds. Now, that is a separate action, which is fraud. And if anybody wants to sue them based on fraud, I have a really wonderful attorney who could take that on for you, because fraud is misrepresenting information for material gain. So by misrepresenting that the county is still in an emergency 3 years later, in order to get money, again, I think your third grade nephew could tell you that that is illegal. And as a 5-year-old, one of our Healthy Americans that came to the board meeting said to the board, you're doing your job wrong. And that's the best summary that I can come up with related to these, we'll just call, I didn't mean to call them dodo birds, but that's just what came to mind. Okay, because they're really not thinking clearly. But let's continue, shall we? Here we go. They don't have the authority to abdicate their legislative duties to the governor. Then there's another law, Government Code Section 8630 says that the governing body, the Board of Supervisors, shall review the need for continuing the local emergency at least once every 60 days. Now, the local law says once every 30 days, but at least review it. And again, it says that the governing body shall proclaim the termination of the local emergency at the earliest possible date that conditions warrant, not when the money runs out, not when the governor tells them. I do not see anything here that says, except in the case of an emergency, it says this is what you're supposed to do during an emergency. I don't think those Board of Supervisors all have law degrees. I think a couple of them do. The opposing counsel who is representing them, they have gone to law school. I would ask for my money back. I would definitely try to get my money back from law school, because obviously they didn't learn how to read the law very clearly. Okay, here we go. A ministerial act, this is in my petition, is an act that a public officer is required to perform. It doesn't say that it's optional or that they need to possibly. It's required in a prescribed manner in obedience to the mandate of legal authority without regard to his own judgment or opinion. That means the Board of Supervisors do not have the option of putting in their own opinion as to whether or not to follow this law. That's like blowing through a stop sign. Well, I didn't think I had to stop. It's a stop sign, you stop. Now, it's a little bit different, but I'm just using a very simple analogy. This is not something that needs to have any judgment in terms of if it should be followed or not. Now, here's the most interesting thing. A year later, just shy of a couple of weeks, the first hearing happened on September 22nd, 2022. Judge Lee understood the petition and he ordered, we ended up doing an alternative writ, meaning that the county, of course, in the beginning, the reason why it took all these months to even get on the court calendar is because the county kept coming back to try to dismiss my case, saying I didn't have standing, I didn't have a cause of action, what I was saying didn't hold any validity. So there was a lot of legal action that went on behind the scenes in terms of answering these demurs and other motions. So all of that was going on. Some would say in an attempt by the county to delay so that they wouldn't have to face the music. Because once you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you pretty much have to fess up and say, oh, you caught me. Okay, my bad. I won't do it again. That's all they needed to do was put the agenda item back on the agenda. They could have done so quietly. They could have done so without any fanfare. The petition would have been withdrawn and all of this hoopla would have been over with. So remember, that song just keeps going through my mind. You know, they used to call, what was it they called the court? Like there's the court of public opinion. And then anyway, I'm going to withhold my own judgment for just a moment until we continue. So here we go. The judge saw it our way. He said it is ordered that the respondents, meaning the county, they have to review the local conditions. Are you with me? We won in September. The county is required to review the local conditions. That's all we're asking, to determine whether there remains the need for continuing this local health emergency as allowed for by, here we are, Health and Safety Code 101080 and Government Code 8630. To proclaim the termination of the local health emergency if the conditions warrant. So the judge said, you have to do that, or you have to tell me why you don't have to do it. And you have to come tell me this on December 1st, 2022. All right. So we won in September. Judge Lee said, I'm right. The board is wrong. The council is wrong. I'm ordering you to put this on the agenda, to gather the information, to terminate the emergency if the conditions warrant, or you have to come back. You have to come back on December 1st and show me that you did that, or you have to tell me why you don't have to follow the law. Okay, again, I know you're probably saying, Peggy, there's got to be more to this. That's way too simple. It's cut and dry. Anyone understands that that's what the judge ordered the county to do. Okay, there's nothing hidden. There's nothing I'm misinterpreting. That's exactly what was ordered. And I just showed you the actual excerpt from the order. All right, so December 1st. That's when you come to give the information on December 1st. Well, guess what happened on December 1st? Well, I'll tell you what happened. Judge Lee was taken off the case. In fact, this is probably a good time for me to show you these players. We'll just follow along with what I created here for you. All right, so let's do this. I want to showcase these lovely lawyers. So let's look at who's behind door number 1. And here we go. We'll look at who's behind door number 1. Judge number 1 was Richard Lee. Looks like a very fine, upstanding young fellow, nice smile on his face. He issued a ruling in accordance with the law. Now, for some reason, unbeknownst to we the people, Judge Lee, before December 1st, came back to my attorneys and said, you know, well, I don't know if he came to them personally, but it was revealed that he said, you know, I have to recuse myself from the case. It turns out there's a conflict of interest, and I am no longer able to rule on this case. Gee, Judge Lee, why didn't you recuse yourself previously? Why did you go this far? Why did you issue this excellent order? And now you're not going to show up on December 1st to enforce it. And my attorney went to court to appeal his recusal, and they said, it's a done deal. He's not coming back. Don't even try. We've given you to a new judge. And let's take a look at who's behind curtain number 2. So here we go. Our new judge came on the scene. So bye-bye, Richard Lee. Nice knowing you. Thank you for ruling in our favor. I stand in victory with you. You're absolutely right. The county was violating the law. Well, here was the second judge, Nathan Vu. And in my research of Judge Nathan Vu, he is of Vietnamese descent. I only mention that because the health officer is of Vietnamese descent, and the board of supervisor chairman, Andrew Do, he's of Vietnamese descent. And I can only assume that these individuals came to the United States for freedom and our constitutional republic to escape the horrors of communism that, influenced their country. So I thought that was very interesting. So judge number 2, Nathan Vu, to my understanding, received the case. And that's where my attorney went and said, we would really like it to go back to the original judge. He already did everything. All we need is this order to show cause. That's the name of it, where the county attorneys show up and they say it was put on the agenda and the county's following the law, or here's why we don't have to follow the law. Well, in the meantime, Judge Vu booted the case to judge number 3. So here we go. Judge number 3, let me show you behind that curtain. Let me do that. Oops, sorry about that. We're going to go to judge number 3. Now, this was booted to Derek Hunt. And I just put this little cute image there because, well, it just reminds me of his personality. I'll tell you about his personality in just a moment. So let's do this. Let's go back. Now it's in the hands of judge number 3. It reminds me of that hot potato game. So let me go back to my summary here. And so prior to the hearing for the order to show cause on December 1st, the case was given over to Derek Hunt. And I showed up with a few healthy Americans, my lovely legal team, my husband, and we showed up at the courtroom, at Judge Derek Hunt's courtroom. And let's take a look at him again now, shall we? Just to give you the whole flavor of this fellow. So there he is, Judge 3, Derek Hunt. And I don't even know if I'm sharing my screen. Let me share my screen again, give you another image of this fellow. There he is, Judge Derek Hunt, number 3. And here's exactly what happened with this fellow. So let me cue up my notes. We showed up at the hearing to show cause. That's where the county was supposed to say, yes, it's on the agenda. They voted on it, or here's why we don't have to follow the law that tells us what to do in an emergency. So Judge Derek Hunt, we were the only ones in the courtroom. There were no other cases that he was hearing. And he told us, after telling us a little bit about being on vacation and how he wished that he was still on a tropical beach instead of in the courtroom, he said, he had just gotten the case that morning. Even though it had been assigned to him a couple of weeks earlier, he said he had just gotten the case that morning and we were meeting at 1:30. So I don't know why he didn't take the morning to review it. He said he was not prepared to hear the order to show cause order from the previous judge. Even though Judge Lee ordered the county to show that on December 1st, he said he wasn't ready to receive it. He also said that he was going to be retiring. And he would have to have a new hearing date for January 20th. And he said, it's likely you'll have a new judge, or maybe they'll pull me out of retirement if I'm not on a tropical beach somewhere where I would rather be. He also said, by putting the hearing for January 20th, he or someone else would have enough time to review the case. And he also said, I thought this was very interesting. Again, that music comes to mind. He said he normally stops reading the cases before him after a few paragraphs or when he gets bored. Those were the exact words. So I really am wondering whether it seems like he was ready to retire. I would not want him ruling on any cases that he found boring to read. All right. So that brings us to January 20th. All right, so prior to January 20th, Judge number 4 came onto the scene. Let's take a look at Judge number 4, shall we? And this is the fellow whose acquaintance I made yesterday. Here we go. Judge Tom McConville. Now, don't go making any funny comments about his name. That wouldn't be appropriate. Tom McConville. And he seemed a very affable fellow. So here he is behind curtain number 4. And remember, he had gotten this case prior to January 20th. And then he informed my attorneys that, January 20th was just too soon. He didn't have enough time to review the case. So he was going to, it's called continue. It's funny because it never really started. So he was going to rebook the case on the calendar for January 30th, which was yesterday. Are you with me on the timeline, right? That's another 10 days. Or is it, it's 20? No, it's another 20 days, isn't it? January 20th to January 30th, 10 extra days for Judge McConville to review the case. So let's take you into the courtroom yesterday. This is where all of the production went on in this with all the players. And here we go. So I will tell you exactly what happened. So yesterday we were there. There were a group of healthy Americans. There was a group of healthy Americans, and of course, my lovely legal team. And there were a lot of other attorneys, and there were a lot of other cases that were on the docket. So Judge McConville entered the courtroom. He had a little sippy cup that he set down right with a little straw right on his bench, and he got himself all in order. And the docket showed several cases to be managed that day. And oh my gosh, one of them had a really strange name. I think it was called like Shiftville or Scared Shiftless was one of the people that were one of the companies that was being sued. And you can imagine how Judge McConville actually pronounced it. So everybody had to chuckle. All right. This is the nature of the courtroom here in Orange County, California. So he had several technical difficulties getting on Zoom with the other attorneys and plaintiffs that weren't there in person. And we all were sitting watching as they were testing their microphones and they couldn't get their cameras going and all of that. So McConville conferred with attorneys on other matters. And one case that was very interesting to me was a lawsuit that was filed against the state of California. I don't know what for, but what struck me is that it was filed in 2014. And McConville said he's going to set the hearing for 2024. Of course, and he got the year wrong several times with his court clerk. It was, again, everybody was sort of chuckling because he said he's going to set it for 2022. And then he said he'll set it for, he meant 2024. He got very confused. Hey, I get confused as well, but I'm not a judge ruling on cases in California Superior Court. Okay, when my case was called, and my attorneys approached the bench, and McConville said he didn't have time to review the case. He wasn't able to receive the information from the opposing counsel. He wasn't able to rule or even hear about the order that Judge Lee ordered for the county to show that they were putting that on the agenda, or why they didn't have to. It was far, far too complex for him to understand at that point, even over the objections of my attorneys. So it was just something that he could not take under consideration. Oh, he slipped up a little bit though. And he said that he was acting on behalf of the county. Oops. Then he said, oh, I that's not what I meant to say. Oh, so let's get back to the issue at hand. So he set the case. Are you ready? Not 2024. I guess I've got that going for me. He set the case for the end of February. Guess what? February 27th. Now, this might strike you as odd. I'm sure it's purely a coincidence. I'm not drawing any conclusions at all. But the governor of California plans and has published his plans to terminate the eternal emergency in California on the same day. Wouldn't that be crazy? Like if the governor ended the California state of emergency, and then the attorneys for the county said, well, you don't need to rule on this case because it's already over. But guess what? Yes, he does. There's a simple question in front of the court, a simple question to answer. And here's the question. Does the legislative body have to follow the law that tells them what to do during an emergency? During an emergency. We're going to get a declaratory judgment one way or another. Now, I want to hear from you if you think we are going to have judge number 5. Do you think McConville is going to be taken off the case as well? And why in the world do you think we are having this revolving performance of judges? What say you? Now, I told you that I was going to end by telling you some very, very good news. Let's take a look, shall we? I don't have pictures of the attorneys that are representing the county. I guess they are just, I don't know, flying under the radar. I couldn't find anything on them on Twitter, or one photo maybe on Facebook. And it's not important what they look like. They're not in the public eye like I am. And my husband said, you know, sweetheart, part of the reason that they're pushing so hard is that they're pretty much intimidated by you. You've had an impact on hundreds of thousands of lives. You've helped people understand their rights and fight back for themselves. Whereas these individuals are fighting for evil. They're on the side of evil. They are continuing the deception, and they are to be pitied and they are to be prayed for. And I absolutely agree. So let's do this. I'm going to take you on over. We'll look at the names anyway so that you can join me, because I had a very interesting, let me say, vision prior to the lawsuit that we had. And I want to share that with you in just a moment. So let me get their photos. I just think this is so cute. This makes such a cute little photo. All right. Nothing really to do with the case, but here we go. Here are the attorneys that are representing the county. So Kayla Watson, oh, my next door neighbor, his dog is called Watson. He's such a cute little puppy. So Kayla Watson is the one who did my deposition. So she was the one that asked me questions about the case and my background and so forth. And it seems as though the additional ones, Kevin Dunn, Laura Knapp, and Suzanne Showai, appeared to be her bosses, like the supervising attorneys. And during the deposition, they were passing little notes. It kind of reminded me like when, being in high school or something. It was kind of funny. And they were sort of prompting her, and I guess they dumped the case on her to sort of handle. But here's the interesting thing about Kayla Watson. My attorney and I had a lunch break. Everybody had a lunch break during the deposition. And as we were coming back into the county administrative offices where I was having my testimony be taken under oath, in the elevator was Kayla Watson, myself, my attorney, and a fellow that worked for the county, because he had a shirt on that had his name and like County of Orange. He didn't appear to be an attorney. I couldn't tell, but he definitely worked for the county. And as we were in the elevator going up to whatever floor we were on, he said to me, "I know you. Oh my gosh, I watch all of your videos. You have been doing so much to protect our rights in this county. I can't believe that I'm sharing an elevator ride with you." The Lord works in mysterious ways. So Kayla Watson, like my next door neighbor's dog is Watson. Kayla Watson was in the elevator as that fellow was thanking me for the impact that I had defending his freedom. And that's exactly where I want to end. So let me do this again. We're going to look at these. We're going to look at these names of the people. And this is sincere. All right. Kayla Watson, Kevin Dunn, Laura Knapp, Suzanne Showai. I know forthcoming. I just know this. I believe this in my heart and soul, that there will be apologies forthcoming to me. And I just want to tell them in advance that I accept their apology, that I hold no grudges, that I forgive their trespasses, I forgive their indiscretions, I forgive their deception. And I am also grateful that they realize, I'm grateful that Kayla Watson and Kevin Dunn and Laura Knapp and Suzanne Showai, I am grateful that they will be apologizing to me, that they will be thanking me for standing up for their freedom. They will thank me and be full of gratitude and appreciation that I put myself and my pocketbook and my reputation and my safety on the line for them, because I fight for everyone. And I just want to let them know that I accept their apology and that I am glad that they recognize the impact that I have had through the Healthy American, educating, informing, empowering, encouraging, inspiring hundreds of thousands, probably millions. If you look at the number of people that have seen my videos, millions of people who have learned through my education, through my reading and understanding of our God-given rights that are that these laws are designed to protect. I know that when they go to the depths of their soul, which I pray has not yet been taken over by the evil one, I still hold out hope for their redemption. I am full of no animosity, no anger, no hatred, nothing other than pity and acceptance of their forthcoming apologies. They may not even do it verbally. They may just do it in a quiet, spiritual, soulful manner when they lay their head down at night, if they're even able to get a good night's sleep. I am able to, because I serve truth. I serve God. I do not serve evil. There is no price at which I can be bought. There is no hardship that I will not endure. And so I wanted to bring you this excellent news that victory is ours. It was already ruled on by Judge Lee that this county is out of bounds. It was ruled on that they are required in this order of the court to show cause, to show that they either are following the law or why they don't have to. Now, the sad thing is, and I'm sure you'll join me in my pity, is that they probably don't even believe in the work that they're doing when I'm talking about the attorneys. This is their job. Oh, and by the way, I was going to show you that, oh my gosh, they make, I think I'll have to bring that up in another, I don't know if I have that up right here for you, but I found out how much money they make. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's just do this for fun. So, you know, they're making money off this tyranny. So here we go. Laura is making about $222,000 regular pay with all of her benefits. It's $344,000 to destroy your freedom. Let's take another look. Okay, there's that one. Kayla, there we are. Kayla Watson. This was back in 2020, so she probably got a raise. Her total benefits were $211,000, almost $250,000. Your money and my money, our tax money. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the same Kevin. Yes, it looks like senior deputy attorney. So I don't know if this is him, but I'm assuming he's making, oh, he's pulling it in, $261,000. And then Suzanne, she must be the bigwig. She's getting $264,000. That's in 2021. So they probably got an increase as well. So just showing you that, you know, some people can be bought and paid for. And I do pray sincerely that they will step out of the darkness and into light. But the fact of the matter is, the judge has already ruled in our favor. It's a matter of having a judge with, how does it go? Are they called cojones? Did I say that out loud? With gumption, who's actually going to stand up and allow this hearing to continue. So I'm not holding my breath. I have done my part. We have put forth the petition. Victory is ours. And I'm grateful to have all of you supporting me. It does cost money, friends. And I know that these, the serpents among us are grateful when they hear that it's draining my pocketbook. And trust me, my attorneys earn every penny, and they've already given me a great discount because they are patriots and they believe in what we are doing. But it costs money to do these actions, and I can't do it alone. I would not have been able to do it without your help. Many of you have asked where to support me. You can go to the link below. There's a link where you can send your support via mail, the old-fashioned mail, and you can also do so online. If everybody listening could do $5, that will help me through this next hurdle that I need to get through. And you know, and I know that that's part of this performance going on, intended to drag things on, thinking that I'm going to give in, give up, and give over. And I never will. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am marching this all the way to heaven. Thank you, everybody, for being on board with me. I really appreciate your support. I'm going to be doing a second video this evening because many of you were asking me about donating blood as a pure blood and making sure that you can get you know, blood transfusions if necessary. So I have something very interesting and very hopeful to share with you. As you know, I am all about solutions. I am not about the spin cycle. I'm not about fear mongering or flu mongering or peddling trauma or any of that. I'm about helping you stand strong. And I want to share, I will be continuing to share these thousands and thousands and thousands of, this is one of dozens of bins, the entire armoire filled. And I'm still getting help with people with my, to send my thank you notes. And I do thank every single one of you. I've got bins and bins here. I've got goodies. People send me all sorts of goodies and packages. I've got a room full of all sorts of books and just items that people have sent me for encouragement. This is the beauty, friends. This is how we know that we have won. Victory is ours. That is my claim. I am standing on it. It's all in God's timing. It's all in his hands. And I am grateful for these delays because it gives me more time to speak about this. Again, this is the sad part about those that don't have the intellectual capacity to think things through. If they had just put this agenda item back on the meeting notice, it could have flown under the radar. They could have even voted to continue the emergency, and things would have been moving in accordance with the law. but they've doubled down. They've got their hand in the cookie jar. And at this point, they are getting very, very bad counsel. The head attorney for all of this is Leon Page. I didn't get to show his picture behind the curtain. We've had some very nice phone calls in the early days. And I do hope that Leon will get right with God, get right with the truth, and start to counsel his attorneys to follow the law. All right, friends, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much. I can't wait to read all of your comments. And as always, it is my honor to serve you, to serve the truth, and to serve God. I'll see you soon, right in an upcoming video.